Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Founders Grid, sponsored by Gaper.io. Today we have Ben. Ben is the founder of Intrado, and also Ben has recently written a book on transitioning to virtual and hybrid events. Ben, welcome to the show.
How are you? I am the president of Intrado Digital Media, and I did just write a book on virtual events, and it's pretty exciting. It is a crazy time right now, my friend.
So before we get to Intrado, if you can give us a brief on what you've been doing prior to Intrado.
So I'm sort of a serial entrepreneur. I've been starting companies for the last 20 some odd years. I built a streaming company in 2004 that I exited in 2010, one of the first live streaming companies. Then did a digital health startup, big believer in the healthcare space and digital. So obviously you can see everything I do has a digital focus to it. And in 2018, actually April 13, 2018, I became the president of Intrado Digital Media, which is a combination of acquisitions. An acquisition we did from NASDAQ, where we bought their PR business, streaming business, and hosting business.
Yeah.
We bought a company called InExpo out of Chicago, which is virtual events, and a media monitoring company out of Sweden called Notify. And so I have this 1,300 global employees who all have one mission every day, is to deliver mission critical communications for our customers.
True. Amazing. And how's the journey been so far?
The journey has been incredible. Pre-COVID, it was amazing. I lived on a plane. We had physical offices in 17 countries around the world. And, the moment COVID started, we had remote employees, 1,300 of them all over the world. And I have not been on a plane since like March 15th. So from someone who was on a plane every single week to someone who has not been on a plane in well over 100 plus days, and I have not got to see my teams and customers globally, it's kind of amazing.
Your book, Transitioning to Virtual Events.
Yep.
Can you tell us a bit more about the book?
So I've always been a believer that physical and virtual should be married, right? Even pre-COVID, I used to tell customers and employees and everyone that, making something digital as well as physical is only going to amplify your message and your audience. And a lot of people always thought, no, it's going to cannibalize our event. And people are going to stay virtual, they won't come physically. I never believed that. I always believe a good physical event, a good virtual event, when there's a physical event going on, makes people go, man, I want to be there for the next event. It looks amazing. And what ended up happening, it wasn't that virtual cannibalized physical, the world cannibalized physical events. So now that you have to move to virtual if you want to reach your audience, like you and I are today, you have to learn how to move virtually. And it's not as easy as just putting a camera up and giving a broadcast. Sort of like you and I were talking before, where we were saying like, hey, pre-COVID, my podcast used to be this length. Yeah. Now during COVID, they're this length. Well, guess what? If you used to have a physical event in Vegas or in Paris, and now it's virtual, you still have to put the same amount of effort into it. You have to create really compelling content for the virtual audience, but you also have to know they're not sitting in a room watching you. Some people are watching on this device. Some people are watching on a computer. Some people might be watching on a monitor. So knowing the viewing habits of your audience and how to deliver content to them, it's different than a physical event.
True. That's so true. So, which brings me to my question of trying to be relevant towards today's time, COVID, and especially you're managing a company of more than 2,000 people that distributed in 17 countries, right? So yep. How have you, for a company of this scale, how have you been able to manage keep the bonds between the team as well as looking after the mental health of them, and what practices have you adopted? Maybe top 3 pieces of advice that you can share.
So one piece of advice, everyone, there is no such thing as not of too much communication. So first, everyone should over communicate. There's three good things that we've been doing. One is I do a weekly video that I get 10 or 15 members of the organization globally to participate in. One, so they get to actually see the team. Two, they get to hear what's going on with your organization, make everything a little closer. Consistency, you can't miss a week. You got to do it every single week. I do it every Friday morning. It gets sent out at 9 a.m. Been doing it for a really long time. The team gets to feel involved. They get to hear what's going on in the business. They get to hear some fun things, and they get to meet virtually different members of the organization. That's one thing we do regularly. Second thing we do is lots and lots of team events, right? You have to be on video. We make it sort of mandatory in a lot of ways to be on camera and engage and communicate. We also do another live video every single week. Our name of our company is Intrado Digital Media, and we call it DM Me, and it is a live event for 30 minutes every single Tuesday and Thursday. We do it twice a week, where everyone logs on, and they can log on live or on demand, and we take questions. We bring in, whether it's someone to teach you meditation, someone to teach you cooking, someone, but somehow engage to break up the monotony of working from home. You know, when you work from home, you don't have the ability to say, I'm just going to walk down the street and have lunch, or, you know, go into the break room and have a conversation, or a conference room. So we want to break up the monotony of just sitting on your computer, being on calls all day, and having a moment to laugh, engage, take care of yourself mentally and physically. And I think that's one of the keys.
All right. So last question, in regards to any three pieces of advice you would give to the managers and other founders, how to go through the pandemic and not overburn the teams.
All right. One is, like I said before, communicate with your teams. Be open and honest and real. Let them know what you're going through in your life, and ask people, right? Here's like the one thing that I personally do is every day or every week, I take 15 or 20 employees in the organization, and I reach out to them and have a conversation, a scheduled call, just a check-in. And I have everyone on my leadership team do the exact same thing to multiple members of the team, employees, and even the customers. You have to talk to your teams. And I think that's the number. If you're a startup CEO, founder, if you're part of a bigger company, don't assume that they understand what's going on. Communicate, talk to them, have a one-on-one conversation. There is nothing better. Get to know everyone and make it partially business and partially personal. And it's important. The other thing I do is we send, every time someone does something pretty amazing, I send them a little gift. Might be just a Intrado hat, might just be a note, but I reach out so something comes in the mail for them at their home, and they open it and they go, hey, we're thinking about you and we care. Trying to make it, trying to make the distance not so far.
Got it. Got it. Ben, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm pretty sure we could have talked for another half an hour
Oh my God.
easily, but my marketing team kind of like go like they just cut them off. Guys, yes, you're hearing me just cut off my
Yeah.
podcast, the last ones. But thank you
It's
so much
okay.
for being on the show. Take care of yourself and stay safe.
You too, my friend.